Hey, welcome to Pass or Play. All right, so today I will be reviewing The Midnight Club Season 1. Has 10 episodes and is currently streaming now on Netflix. All right, so this was adapted from a book of the same name by Mike Flanagan, who has done other Netflix series as The Haunting of Bly Manor, The Haunting of Hill House, and most recently Midnight Mass, again over on Netflix. If you like those shows, this the Midnight Club is within the same line of it. It is more geared towards young adults, and off the bat, I really like. I really don't want to say it, but I will say off the bat, like my honest opinion, this really reminded me of Nickelodeon's "Are You Afraid of the Dark?" Like the Midnight Club in this show, you have the Midnight Society, and Afraid of the Dark? In Are You Afraid of the Dark? They tell their stories in front of a campfire, around a campfire, but in front of it too. And in this one they're doing it in the library, in front of a campfire as well, or or firewood in the show because it is again in the library. But there's, it's very familiar to like just a more higher production quality of like Are You Afraid of the Dark? Now I will say that within the Midnight Club though, the content, it's more adult content themes, suicide, murder, actual physical murder that you're seeing, blood, suicide, depression, drug use, overdosing, suicidal thoughts. Again, the themes are a lot more dark and heavy. Now, again, I will say too that now they did bring back Are You Afraid of the Dark back in 2019. Um, the tone is a lot darker than when it was originally back in the 90s. And it's currently in its third season that it's already aired now, but it did come back in 2019 and it's back on Nickelodeon. And I will say too, I looked it up. The book initially came out in February of '94, and Nickelodeon's first aired episode was October of 1990. So I'm not saying that the writer got the idea from Nickelodeon Are You Afraid of the Dark, but again, I will say that this show is very much in line with that show. Um, and Again, it's just more adult themed, and the production quality and value is just a lot higher. Um, but anyway, we start off with Alanka, the main character, that's the main focus of the show. She's 17 years old. She's in high school, her last year. She's valedictorian and she's bound for Stanford. And then she finds out that she has thyroid cancer. And after like 9 months of treatment, it's gone stage 4. And now she's been kind of diagnosed terminally ill. She's also a foster care child whose father's very supportive. And recently, it's like they both lost his wife slash her foster mom. And she's also dealing with that. Um, but in the show, we see that after the 9 months, the dad's talking to the doctor, and the doctor's like, again, there's no more that we can really do. We just want to make her comfortable. And, he's like, how long does she have to live? And the doctor's like, most likely she'll make it, to maybe 19, but most likely not 20. And now Alanka is hearing this kind of in her room, and she's kind of, creepily listening, not creepily, but she's listening, in on the conversation outside of her room. And, you know, she is smart, she is bright, and so she kind of does some research to find out is there something else or some other trial or treatment that maybe, that the hospital doesn't offer. And she finds out information about a, this other woman who was this other teenager who was terminally ill back in the 60s, Julia Jane, who went to this Bright Cliff hospice, a palliative care center for terminally ill teenagers. And she finds the story of this teenager coming out cured from being there. And so she gets she gets hope, and she, believes that this place will be able to maybe offer maybe, a different outlook on what she's kind of been told already. And then the story really takes place from there once she kind of, moves and kind of takes residency inside of this, hospice home. Now, I will say that, there's some jump scares, there are horror elements. I wouldn't say that this is really scary to me personally, and it does also act as a thriller and a mystery that you kind of have to figure out and unfold. And in some cases, it's also in line of how kind of, if you've seen Smile, how they kind of play with darkness and, figures in the dark and shadows. There's a lot of that going on in here. There are like jump scares where you can actually see, like the figures, or the is it the ghosts, you know where you get a good clear picture of what they look like, and that can be kind of haunting. But to me, this wasn't really scary. It was more thriller and mystery driven with horror elements. um, and when you get into the home, you have a good diverse cast of actors, and to me the acting's top notch. I think everybody does what they're supposed to do. um, you don't feel like they're just doing it just to check off a box. It just, it's like these people in this home, and these are their stories. And there's kids with money, some money, no money, from different backdrops, different origins, and it all works to me very well. And now, within the context of the Midnight Club, basically it's the agreement, in order to join the Midnight Club at night, when everyone's basically gone. They go to the library to kind of tell these stories. It's like a bonding kind of ritual, but the agreement is that if one of them passes away, they will try to find a way, from the other side of death, to let the other ones know who are still living, what it's like on the other side. That they will promise to find a way to let them know, what it's like, in death. And that's basically what the kind of the promise is, to be in the Midnight Club. And the stories to me that stood out that they tell, there's one, the two Danas, that starts off in episode 2. There's the teenage serial killer story that I thought was really good. There's like a robot story that's pretty good too as well. There's some other ones, I didn't think that they were bad, but some are better told than others. They also encompass the people, outside of the stories as actors within the story. So they're doing double duties, playing like kind of, you know, triple, quadruple different characters throughout the whole show. So I thought that was really cool. Um, and how they're kind of interweaving, the characters outside of the stories that they're telling, gives more insight into those characters when they're telling those stories. And I thought the interweaving of that was very good as well. So to me, there are just more things that I like versus what I didn't like about the show. Um, I think that if you liked Nickelodeon's Are You Afraid of the Dark, which first aired in October of 1990, I don't know if I'm showing my age, but I will say that you will most likely kind of like this show for the most part, unless maybe you just have something with the storytelling, or like maybe the the content, and maybe in which they're kind of giving. Again, this isn't like, to me, scary. This is more like jump scares. There are some cool visuals. Some of the things that kind of pay off, or some of the things that you discover as the show progresses. I don't care for every kind of thing, but again, there's still more things that I like versus what I didn't like. I still had an overall enjoyable experience watching the overall show. And so this is a play for me. And again, if you like Nickelodeon, honestly, I think you really will most likely like this show. I don't want to put it in your head that it's exactly like that. I would say probably maybe kids under 12, just be aware again of that content that's in the show. But if they're maybe 12 and older, you could probably watch it with yeah, I would say 12 and over, you're probably good. But other than that, if you like this review, please press the like button. If you have any comments, comment below. And if you are a subscriber, thank you for subscribing. If you're not a subscriber, press the subscribe button. I'm trying to get to 1,000, hopefully by the end of the year. So other than that, thank you and see you next time.